And what is going on, everybody? We are here for another one today. Going to have a special treat for you. Going to be flying through a bunch of Verticalsims airports. Going to start here in Sarasota, work our way down. Actually, we're going to work our way up to Fayetteville, North Carolina, then Greensville, Spartanburg, and then over to Norfolk. Hopefully we can get all the flights completed without a crash of desktop. If it does crash and we can't get it done, then I guess we'll have to delay our trip. So anyways, we'll go ahead and get rolling through pretty quick since we got a lot of flying to do. Already got the aircraft set up, ready to go. All we got to do is fire up the APU and get ready to be on our way. Before we start rolling out, I just want to reiterate this Sarasota airport. Check out this. This is my favorite thing about this airport. The interior modeling of this airport is pretty daggum good, and just gives you a whole different perspective to use when playing around in the flight sim. As you can see, you got our airplane out there in the distance. Try to get some views from inside of here as if we were a passenger. But anyways, I love this. I'm sure it takes a lot of work. That's why you would probably see this more in smaller airports than bigger airports. It would take a long time to do this for something like Atlanta or wherever. So kudos to Verticalsim on this. Love it. Like to see this in a lot more airports. Alright, so back inside the airplane. Get the APU going. Looking for the flap open message on the lower ECAM. I know we're good to start it. While that's starting, we'll run through the flight plan real quick. So Sarasota to Fayetteville, they got ceilings of 1,500 feet. Hour before and after time of arrival, so we've got Charlotte on there, flying 320 Neos, we all know. Going to fly 40 CI, and then we're going to try to get up to flight level 390. My en route time is about an hour and 17 minutes, which is pretty short for 39,000 feet. But being that this is a private airplane, we don't have a whole lot of passengers like you would in an airliner. So with that, a lot lighter, and we should be able to get up there. Well, we'll see. Going to depart off runway 32, fly up to Ocala, then Gators, which is Gainesville, Savannah, then Fayetteville, and we planning to come in on ILS 4, which would be a little bit of a tailwind. It's the only ILS they got. I prefer to shoot an ILS. They do have a localizer approach, but we're going to stick with ILS 4. Zero fuel weight today is 104.2. It's pretty light, 16,000 pounds of fuel. And since we're so light, we'll take off in a flaps 1 configuration with a 70 degrees on the flex temp. And I got a V speeds of 21, 22, and 26. Got hard tuned the Sarasota VOR as well as Ocala. So all that's set up, and that is quick little overview of our flight today. So we got the APU on, disconnect ground power, get our fuel pumps going. Everything else is set up, so we're ready for departure. So with that, we'll go through our before start checklist all the way. So maintenance log and tails on board and checked. Cockpit prep is complete. Gear pins and covers are removed. Signs are on and auto. ADAIR is nav. Fuel. We'll go over to our sim brief. And for the fuel, we have a required takeoff fuel of 14.6, but on board we have 16 even. Well, 16,040 pounds if you want to get real technical with it. Let's see, altimeters, 2.9er, 9er, 9er set. EFB is checked. Windows, doors, and slides are closed and armed. Beacon is on. Thrust lever is idle. Park and brake is on. Transponder's auto. Before start, checklist is complete. Now, I was going to try to use the pushback tool to actually tow me out of this ramp area. As you see, we've got some small airplanes back here, and in the real world, last thing you'd want to do is start up a big old Neo engine and some good jet blast when taxiing out and possibly damage smaller airplanes. But this parking spot doesn't have any sort of pushback, so we can't tow ourselves. I mean, you guess you could, but you wouldn't have a physical tug in front, and it wouldn't look very good. So not going to do it that way. We'll just start engines where we sit, and we'll taxi ourselves out of here. And tell you what, we'll do it the way that, get rid of the power like that. Alright, so everything else looks good. I think we are just about ready to start engines. Let's go ahead and start the timer. good start on engine 1. We'll go ahead and crank up number 2. So we're expecting a pretty quick taxi out of here. Alright, good start on number 2. So at the rest of this, we'll get my ugly face off of here. That way you can see everything, and I just think it looks better that way. Alright, so now that we've got both engines started, we'll go through the after start flow. Engine mode selected to normal. On the spoilers. Let's say if this is what the rudder trim looked like when we were in the airplane. After on the spoilers, reset rudder trim, flaps 1. TCAS TA, trim the airplane. Since we have both engines started, kill the APU, kill the ground control, and with that we can do our after start checklist. So after start checklist, engine anti-ice is off, yellow electric pump off, rudder trim 0, after start checklist complete. Alright, we'll very gently taxi out of here. And then ingest the ground power unit. And hopefully you don't hit any of those airplanes with the left wing. I'm gonna do a brake check. Pressure's green. I like it. Do flight controls check. Full left, neutral. Full right, neutral. What is going on with the rudder? There's definitely some bugs out with this new update. Alright, full left, neutral. Full right, neutral. Full up, full down, neutral. do a rudder check with this weirdness that's going on with the rudders right now. Full left, neutral, and neutral. Alright, flight controls checks complete.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
I think what we might do is we might try to do somewhat of a cinematic departure using the drone camera out of the terminal there, but I'm afraid could lose control. Not be a very good takeoff. I don't know, I guess we'll see. See what it looks like. Alright, we'll stop here. Alright, let's give it a shot. Actually, it just dawned on me. Let's hold up a sec. So what happens when you stream, you get too focused on trying to make it cinematic and entertaining instead of running your real life type procedures. So before takeoff checklist all the way, gross weight comparisons complete, pitch trim 30%, CG set, V1, VR, V2, flex 121, 122, 126, flex 70. Flaps config 1 plus F. Flight controls checked, ECAM MO, takeoff all green, ECAM status is checked, predictive wind shears on auto, TCAS, code set TARA, cabin crews advised, mini brief we didn't do but we'll pretend like we did. Takeoff runway 32 is confirmed. Fuel, again back to our sim brief. Main required takeoff fuel is 14.6 and we've got 15.8 on board. Engine mode selectors normal, bleed packs are set. Before takeoff checklist all the way is complete. Now we're good to go. So the best thing to probably do in this case, since we are not on an RNAV SID, is we'll depart in a heading, or on a heading, 320, and then we'll get turned back on course once we're airborne and cleaned up. Alright, so let's go. Thrust set. It's V1. Something is up with the rudders. We got positive rate. Gear up. Disarm the spoilers. Just gonna fly this heading. Again, we're very light, so we'll climb very fast. Open climb. Acceleration altitude. Positive trend on the airspeed, so we'll go thrust climb, open climb. And we'll go flaps up. Direct, Cala. We'll try to hand fly it as long as we can. So this is our initial climb altitude, 5,000 feet. Which is just an altitude that I picked. And again, we're not on any SID or anything like that, so just kind of winging all of it. Alright, so we've been cleared up to flight level 190. Open climb, and we'll go nav, thrust climb, open climb. Can't wait for that new LNAV system that fly-by-wire is implementing. I think we can all agree that this one that's in the current build is not the best. We make it work. And here comes 10,000. Kill the landing lights, as we all know. And we'll ding the flight attendants. Let them know that they can get up and serve those rich passengers back there on this fancy private Airbus A320neo. Still hand flying. Airbus is such a easy airplane to hand fly. I don't know why anybody would hit autopilot so quickly, unless obviously you get task saturated and things start to go downhill fast, then by all means. Just keeping the airplane right on those flight directors. Not really sure how I feel about the whole pixelation thing that fly-by-wire is trying to do with these displays. I mean, from this point, I would definitely say it's realistic, and it looks like the real counterpart. But from a real life perspective, sitting here, you don't really see the pixelation, at least this much. And maybe it's got something to do with my settings. I've got the textures turned up quite a bit. That may be part of it. But whenever I ride jump seat, I never I never noticed the pixelation in any of the displays. I mean, you can notice it more in a PFD with the difference in colors, or if you have terrain turned on the nav display, you can notice it a little bit if you're like really close. But at least from the jump seat, or even transition altitude, but from the jump seat, or even sitting in a left or right seat, you don't really notice it all that much. Alright, so ATC just cleared us up to, I want to say we'll go up to our final 39,000 feet. We'll go up and climb, get up there as fast as we can. Yesterday I was doing a little test flight after the update, trying to see how things are going, if my sim's going to crash or not, and was attempting to do Fort Lauderdale to Aguadilla as JetBlue 633, and I had to actually air return. Departed with, I believe it was 19,000 pounds of fuel. Didn't even make it off of the SID, was departing on the Bahama 5, and airplane would not climb any faster than 500 feet per minute, and we only got maybe 100 miles away from Florida, and it already burned through about 5,000 pounds of gas, 6,000 pounds of gas. So I elected to air return based off of how fast we were burning fuel. And I think when I turned around, I only had 12,000 pounds. Climbing 500 feet per minute is going to take forever to get to final, if we could even make it up there. So decided to turn around and head back to Lauderdale. Funny part too was only had 113 passengers. I mean, shoot, we were, even when I turned around, it was 5,000 pounds below max landing weight. So no, it wasn't super heavy by any means. So I don't know if that was something with the airplane, something with the update, who knows. But treated it safely and went on back to the field. We went straight back to the gate that we departed out of, and I'm sure the passengers were pissed off. But better do that than to run out of fuel trying to make it to Aguadilla or have to divert. And then in real life, if you were doing that on that route, you would be diverting to more than likely somewhere that's not a U.S. territory, and then you're going to have the issue of customs and all of that. So, but today things look a lot more normal. I mean, we are light, climbing at 2,100 feet per minute, which is a lot better than 500 feet per minute. So we keep this up, and no crash to desktops, I'll be happy. Alright, so we'll turn the seatbelt sign off. Thus far, everything's pretty smooth. Don't see any weather out ahead. We're still hand flying. Once we get up to cruise altitude, maybe a little bit before, turn the autopilot on and talk a little bit about Verticalsim. Go ahead and put autopilot on. It's gonna be pretty quick up and down. Okay, what was? Alright, so I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but we were just at 290 knots, or whatever Yeah, should have been 290. So we were at 290 knots, and all of a sudden our airspeed just to 250. Don't know what that's about. That's engine. See if that has any effect. The only thing that I can think of that would cause this, I mean, in real life, we got something in the pitot tube, maybe some sort of icing. But I wouldn't think it's any kind of a failure. Or a failure, I think it wouldn't just go to 250 knots. It would like fell over hard, where you'd have zero or excessive speed, and then you'd have all kinds of alarms and stuff. This is different. I don't think there's any failures that this airplane can do. The last stream that I did had excessive cabin altitude. Had to make an emergency descent and return back to the airport. Yeah, something is definitely up. Little, and okay, and then there we go. It jumps right back up to 290 knots. That's got to be a bug. I don't know what would make it do that. So let's chat a little bit about Verticalsim. I was going through their website today in preparation for this stream, and found that they have a end of summer sale going on. Save up to 30%. So I just want to show you all these prices. Sarasota, $16.50. Extremely fair, especially having the internal modeling on the terminal. Worth the money. Fayetteville, $7.50, $7.49. I mean, I think people spend more money at McDonald's than that. So, actually, honestly, I haven't flown into this one yet. I was trying to do it yesterday, but the sim kept crashing. So, y'all will get to see this airport for the first time with me. So, not much I can really say yet. But $7.50, shoot. Like I said, spend more money at McDonald's. After that, we're going to Greensville, Spartanburg, $10. This one I have flown into. The first thing that I noticed right away whenever I landed there was how nice the texturing was. That the airport, I don't know, it was really nice. Like I don't know really how to describe it. You definitely notice, like, even amongst payware airports and developers, everybody knows, you know, what clicks to them. Like, there's some airports that I've bought from other developers that seems like they were just using mostly items that were included in the SDK from the sim itself, which is great. Like I said, I always appreciate anybody who puts any time into making an airport better. But this one, when I landed, even amongst other payware airports that I have, I was like, man, this is a good looking airport. Like, I really liked the texturing on the runways and the taxiways and the ground markings, the jet bridges. And that's another thing too that I've seen a lot with some payware airport developers, and I understand that from a little bit of the research that I've done, that apparently custom jet bridges are not an easy thing to do in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, and the fact that Verticalsim, at least from the airports that I've flown, have all had custom jet bridges shows you how much effort they're willing to put into their product. So I really appreciate that, because to me it kind of messes with the immersion a little bit when you look at like you're parked in front of a custom building. The building looks really good. You can definitely tell it's nothing default from the SDK inside the sim itself, but then you have the default jet bridge. It's kind of like, okay, like breaks it up a little bit. So I really like the fact that they have custom jet bridges at their airports. And then Norfolk. I've flown into Norfolk a couple times. I think this is one of the first airports that I got with the sim. I honestly can't remember, so this one might as well be a first time reaction as well, because it's been so long. But $8.99, that's like, you spend more than that at McDonald's. You get you a couple hamburgers, fry, a drink. That's more than $8.99. So for what you get from Verticalsim and these prices, I kind of think it's a no-brainer. I mean, unless you're like in high school or don't have a job, then it might be a little bit different. You could ask your parents for $9, have them Venmo it to you, because I'm sure kids probably have Venmo these days. Buy an airport. Get you a couple airports that you really like. Fly back and forth in between them. Can't go wrong. In fact, I fly. It's probably like, I would drive some people nuts, but I fly the same two airports all the time as to do my test flights and stuff like that. Fort Lauderdale, Orlando. I got Latin VFR as Fort Lauderdale, and I use the deluxe package, Microsoft Flight Sim, whatever, Orlando, which is decent. I would still really like to see an Orlando airport that was made by another developer. I know Taxi to Gate has one for FSX and Prepared. Would love to see Taxi to Gate do Orlando. And also, if Taxi to Gate watches this, highly doubt it, but if they do, don't forget St. Louis. I used to work in St. Louis as a flight dispatcher, so St. Louis is kind of near and dear to my heart. Now I live in Orlando, so I'd like to see Orlando done. But anyways, I just wanted to point out to everybody, they have a end of summer sale going on, and at these prices, can't beat it. I mean, you take a girl or a guy, you take your date over to McDonald's, or hell, you can spruce it up a little bit more, and you take them to Chick-fil-A, and you're still gonna be spending less on here than you would if you did that. So get y'all some of these airports. It's nice. Alright, let's see where we're at. We're almost at Cruise, and we're just over Gainesville. 9 miles from Gainesville. What the? That ain't good. I don't even know how you should react to this. I'm gonna go to flaps 1, get that stall buffer down. have to call it maintenance whenever when we land, because this is not good. So we'll stay in I guess flaps 1 until. So here's the other thing though, like, are we really at 195 knots? 190 knots? It's like as soon as this speed goes back, like if it jumps back up the way it did a while ago, then we're gonna be over speeding flaps 1. And I highly doubt that this is what you would want to do at 37,000 feet. If you're having speed issues like this, probably don't want to go flaps 1. You got more drag. I mean, like I said, we're staying out of the stall buffer. We're trying to get that stall buffer low, but look, now when we're consistently slowing down, we can't even hold our speed. And if I go flap 0 now, then we're going to be in the stall buffer. So I guess the only safe thing to do now would be descend. And I mean, the aircraft right now is thinking that we're very slow. We need to be. I don't even know why it's got 230. Well, it's got 236 because we dropped the flaps. Flap 1. The funny part too is it's only put out the slats, but it did not put out the actual flap. So as you can see, the flap is not extended. The slat clearly is. Get rid of my face so I'm not covering nothing up. Still slow. Very odd. It's a very odd bug. Has to be a bug. I don't know what else it could be. Of course, there's a button for like clear any faults in case there just was some sort of a fault. It would like return everything back to normal. I don't know. I'm stumped. And there goes our speed again. Back up, so we'll go back up to flaps up. At this point, I don't know if we could even climb. We got a long way to go. We still have 346 miles to go in our flight plan. Landing on 84 in a straight line. Got 341 miles. It's just like I cannot get to Fayetteville to save my life. I keep having so many issues. Granted, that's all because of the update, but nonetheless, I can't get there. It's starting to piss me off. So even at this relatively high altitude, I would think that we would accelerate more. I mean, the aircraft knows we're trying to get up to just 250 something knots, but yet it's only giving us 85% thrust. Alright, let's try to climb again. Let's go. Watch, we'll probably just bleed off our speed. Their engines are not reacting very much. It went down to 83%. Now we're at 85 in one. Let's increase. I mean, hell, by the time we get up there, it's going to be time to come down. Alright, so the engines are working harder now, so that's a good sign. Just cannot win. We're maintaining speed, so that's the first good thing. So we got 1,500 feet to go. And watch, I bet the speed messes up again before we even get up there. Alright, 1,000 to go. Just got a notification from FS Elite. I don't know about y'all, but I follow FS Elite. They're my probably #1 source for flight sim news. Back in the day, before when I was pretty new to all this, Verticalsim was the man to go to for all your flight sim news. And now I've got FS Elite, pretty good. Always, anytime I see a flight sim news video come up on YouTube, typically there's not much that is talked about that I don't already know about. But anyways, I just got a notification from FS Elite, and the title cracked me up. Let me pull it up again. Just tell you what, I'll just pull it up on my desktop so y'all can look at it as well. The title cracks me up. Watch what the future of X-Plane might hold. I just find the fact that they put the word might in there kind of entertaining. I have X-Plane. I've always been a prepared person. I started on, see, I knew it. I knew I was going to do it again. So the slat's going out, but no flaps, which is probably the smart thing to do, or you'd want it to do. It's just so weird how we're getting all these fluctuations. Anyways, I was always a prepared person. I started on FSX way back in the day. I got FSX in 2009, right after I graduated high school, and then Prepared came out. And even throughout some of this time, I was kind of messing around with the X-Plane, but it just didn't tickle my fancy very much. So yeah, I stuck with Prepared, and then this lovely sim came out. I still dabble in X-Plane every now and then. I missed 7.5, really bad, so I'll go to X-plane to get a little 7.5 action. Alright, so we're just bleeding speed pretty consistently, so let's do this. For now, let's go down to 33. So as this speed bug keeps happening, it won't affect us as bad. But still, it's kind of alarming that let's go back, flaps up. It's kind of alarming that the aircraft wants to be at a certain managed speed, but yet the engines, and maybe somebody knows more about this than I do, there might be a reason for it or some sort of the logic built into the airplane, but the aircraft wants to be at 240 something knots, but yet it just chills at 83% on the N1. Like, you would think that the engines would go up to at least to the high 90s trying to capture that speed, but I don't know. Or there's a reason for it. And so I think if we come down to 33,000 and this speed bug happens, we won't be so low down to that getting down to that stall buffer. That is correct. Thank you, Mr. McDo, changing my cruise for me. And by the way, as my disclaimer on the Verticalsim subject, I am by no means sponsored. I mean, hell, I've got 21 subscribers. Pretty much most of those are like friends, colleagues from work. So I am by no means sponsored. Just while I was on their product page, I noticed the prices and thought it was worth mentioning. Alright, so we still got a little ways to go. We are currently in southeast Georgia. While we're coming down to our new cruise altitude of 33,000 feet, and there we go, there's the speed issue again. But yet, since we're lower, now we're not into that stall buffer, so when it happens, we'll be more okay and not have to keep going in and out of flaps more. So for the arrival, we are planning to land on ILS runway 4. Our frequency for the runway is 110.5. Final approach course 38 degrees. Final approach fix is Kinlow. I don't know how you would say it. 1,900 feet. And our decision altitude is 389, which our decision height is 200 feet off the ground, which is what we'll be using since it's precision approach. Touchdown zone elevation is 189 feet. If we go missed, we're going to not do this. I'm not that good of a pilot to fly radials and whatnot, so we'll climb to 1100, then a climbing right turn to 3000, and we'll just swing it around to the right and come back in and try again. This is a standard 30-degree glide slope. We've got approach lights with a PAPI on the right, and again, climb to 1100, then turning right, climbing right turn to 3000. Our minimums today, we got half-mile viz, 200-foot ceilings is the minimums. I'm pretty sure we'll be good on that. once we land, where should we go? So we are not, we'll go general aviation. We got the FBO over here. We're not an airline today, so we'll plan to exit on Charlie and take Alpha over to the FBO. We've got 7,709 feet of runway, but we want to come down here and check out our fancy notes, tell us how much we actually have. Because obviously we got a displaced threshold here, we're not going to be landing on any of this. So for landing on runway 22, we have, oh, hey, thanks. We already talked about that. We've got 7,111 feet of runway to use for landing, and then it's 150 feet wide. One thing I'm not real sure of is what the terrain is like. Pretty sure it's got some small mountains at the least. So terrain may be a factor. Based off of the forecast I looked at before departing, it was calling for broken at 1,500, which is not a big deal. But there's always a possibility, especially this time of day, that we're going to be flying in. Well, I guess still a bit early, but it doesn't take long into the day for thunderstorms to flare up in the southeast United States. Oh, what is this? This thing can't decide. This bug, it's go too slow, and you go too fast. This red line should not be here. If we're at 33,000 feet and at the weight that we're at, we shouldn't be that close to the red line. There's definitely some bugs going on. You almost don't want to get out of the cockpit because you don't know what's going to happen. All these fluctuations. Some interesting landscape down there. I've driven through this part of Georgia, and it's exactly what you'd think from this point of view. A lot of marshy looking type landscape. I actually think my girlfriend and I are going to go down to Savannah at some point in the near future. They got a Black Rifle coffee shop there. That's about all I need to make me want to go somewhere. Yep, I guess that speed bug just hit again. Yeah. What is going on with that? You can even hear the engines change. Like it's... I don't even know if that's an airplane bug. That might be a sim bug. Whatever it is, I wish it would stop. It's going to make the next two flights real hard to do. I guess we're 21 miles from Savannah. Let's see if we can see Savannah down here. Yeah, the engine's fluctuating. Another thing I can't wait for them to change on the sim is that when you're held to like this, you can get better renders than that. That's not very sexy. But yeah, you can see the lights, no problem. cars down there too. Obviously in the real world, this high up, you wouldn't be able to notice lights that good in the daytime. I wonder if they reworked these chemtrails. Those look those look nicer than they used to, I believe. Alright, let's see how far out we are. 214 miles left on our flight plan. Now, one thing we needed to look at, because I'm pretty sure this is messed up, since we're going Savannah to Fayetteville and then Dodgy, or Zaji. Pretty sure we're going to fly over the airport and then have to swing back around to intercept his fix. So let's take a look and see what that's looking like. So this is what I was talking about. So we're less than 220 knots. The aircraft wants 261, but yet we're only at 83% N1. You would think that they would be revving all the way up to get us to that speed, but they're not. So who knows? Anyways, back to what's important. Alright, so I think the Fayetteville. Yeah, so here's the airport. So it wants us to fly over the airport and then do a 180 real fast and come back. So what we're going to do is we're definitely not going to go to Fayetteville. I can't delete it out of the so he's not doing anything. So instead, once I guess we just hit Savannah already, so the next thing that we'll probably do is go direct to Zaji, which will skip us right over Fayetteville and will put us right where we need to go. So let's do that now and see what our distance is looking like. It's not going to change much. So now we got us in a straight line, skipping over Fayetteville. We don't need that life, and then going straight on in. So that'll work. And it's been sitting at this low speed for a hot minute now. So I wonder, maybe if we try, I'm afraid, but if we try going into manual thrust to get our set to speed ourselves up, I'm sure it'll work, but then the issue is going to be that when when this bug does whatever it does again and it goes to speed up, then we're going to be possibly big time overspeeding, which could then make the sim think that we have crashed. Or we've overstressed the aircraft. Before we do that, I'm going to look at one other thing. You should always be cross-checking your detailed flight plan from SimBrief with what you have on board when you cross your waypoints. So at Savannah, let's see, where's the fuel? So at Savannah, we're supposed to have 10.1 on board. We passed Savannah a little bit ago, but we're way below that line. Come on. So somehow I've hit the button where it types on the do, and now I can't change my view. I hear it typing, but I can't move my view. That's not good. I know it times out after a minute, so we'll just let it sit. I was thinking about going even lower, but then we're just going to burn more fuel, and we're already looking like we're going to have a fuel critical scenario upon us. So based off our flight plan, I always carry 15 minutes of what I like to call policy fuel. So you have your 45-minute reserve plus another 15 minutes of fuel for anything that's unforeseen. That's always on the airplane. Then after that would be dispatch add fuel. So if there's any planned constraints, anything that is foreseen, you would put gas on for that. So between policy fuel and dispatch add fuel, I've got about 30 minutes of extra gas. We were supposed to land with 8,900 pounds of fuel, and we are currently at 5,400. So that's not good. And we still have, we're almost to where we can start descending. Probably want to start descending about 110 miles or so. So let's try this. Let's try to do some manual thrust. Which is just going to burn more gas. Alright, so we're in Toga. Engines are only at 87% in one. We're not even accelerating. And we're super light. Like, this is clearly something's wrong with either the sim or the airplane. So we'll go back into the climb detent. Just let the airplane somewhat manage its own speed. Something else I just noticed, the winds. Something's up with the wind. Obviously, wind doesn't swirl in a 360 degrees like that unless you're in a tornado, nor 0 knots either. So one thing we'll do when we land, I'm going to reset the ADIRs. I don't know if maybe I didn't align them perfectly or what. When we had GPS primary. Okay. Estimated fuel on board at arrival, -900 pounds. That's great. Obviously, in real life, you would not continue. We would divert to the nearest suitable airport where safe landing could be made. But it's a sim, and we're trying to get to Fayetteville because we have not seen Fayetteville yet. So we're getting there one way or another. Let's get a weather request real quick. Recommended max altitude 28,000. So we'll try it. Let's go down there, see if there's any difference. I don't know why it's thinking that. It should not be thinking that at all. It should be thinking 39 at our current weight. Our gross weight is only 108,600 pounds. Max landing weight is 148.5, and we're at 108.5. So clearly, we're really damn light. All right, Atsu, AOC, received, METAR. So in Fayetteville, we got winds 120 at 3, 10 statute miles, clear visibility, or clear ceilings, 26 on temp, 21, dew point, altimeter 3004. Charlotte, which we don't need anymore. That's the other thing too, we have an alternate and we're still this low on fuel. Winds variable at 3, 10 statute miles, few at 25,000, 28 on temperature, 23. Dew point, altimeter is 3006. Hopefully descending will save us. Again, 120. Let's go. Shouldn't be turning at all. 3. Temperature is 26. The dew point, or altimeter is 3004. Minimum is 200 feet. We'll go config 3. Alright, so as briefed, actually that's not briefed, but so we've got 7,111 feet to land. Usable distance on our on the runway. Dry, should be grooved. So this says it's actually landing distance available 6,500 feet. I got this little 1 here in the notes. But it should be dry. It's grooved. Interestingly, this says it's a 3.13 degree glide slope, but here it says it's 3 degrees. Runway 4. Huh, I don't know. But it's dry, so we'll go auto brake low. Hopefully we'll make it to the airport. There's some serious bugs going on. I've never seen this before. 216 miles. We'll just keep it coming down. We're going to increase our descent rate. The altitude that we want is 2,300 feet at Zodgi. So that's where we're going to go. And there goes the speed again. So weird. Alright, so the winds, I think it's a live weather issue because we did not have any winds at all, and now we do have winds. So I think that's where the issue lies. I think there's no live winds are being injected into the sim. So I'm going to have to go put some on the forums, or at least go check out the forums, see if other people have noticed that issue. So for the next flights, we'll probably just do a preset so we don't have this issue anymore. Alright, so let's run through a quick brief real fast. Just kind of recap. So we're landing ILS, runway 4, frequency is 110.5, final approach course is 38 degrees, final approach fix is send low at 1900 feet. Our decision altitude, or decision height is 200 feet. Touchdown zone elevation is 189. If we go missed, we'll climb to 1100 and then climbing right turn to 3000, and then we'll just circle back around and try it again. According to this, we have a standard 30-degree glide slope, approach lights, PAPI on the right. If we go missed, 1100, climb right turn to 3000, try again. Minimums, 200-foot ceilings, half-mile viz. We've got that. We just lost the winds again. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Good weather. Terrain may be a factor. We'll turn the terrain on the ND for the pilot flying, which will be my side, as we get a little closer. On runway 4, lane distance available is 6,500 feet. Driver runway grooved, so we'll go auto brake low. Since it's ILS, push button is is pushed. And just double check, make sure we got our frequency 110.5. Approach course, yep, everything looks good. So our VAP is 123. Man, we're gonna be like reserve fuel. While we're descending, going to plan the next leg. This is going to be Fayetteville to Greensboro. Forecast looks good for Greensboro. Don't need an alternate. So 15:03. Say we land in the next 20 minutes. It's 15:20. Departing again at 15:45ish. Says hour 10, so it'll be less than that. It's probably like 50 minutes ish. So that gives us 15:45, 16:45 ETA. So we're looking at our time of arrival. Winds 230 at 5 knots, greater than 6 miles in the viz. View at 25,000. So don't need an alternate. Airbus. Departing to 2. Even though we're landing on 4. Actually, we'll do 4. Sometimes airports, this is more prominent in big airports, but if they're already configured a certain way, they'll typically keep it that way, even with a little bit of a tailwind, if the winds are forecasted to switch back around. If not, then they'll probably just go ahead and reconfigure. Planning, we're just going to let it choose runway 22, extra fuel. let's say 1,000 for issues with the flight sim, and then I think the winds is the issue. We'll do a preset and that should solve that. So we'll just go with 1,000 for now. And we're going to be going to the east. This is going to be an odd flight level. So we'll call it 29,000 feet. What kind of route is that? Ahoy! Cool, we'll just go with it. Not doing a call sign or flight number because it's private flight. Part 91. You know, we're planning our fuel based off of 121. Oh shoot. So 36 minutes in route. It even put us lower. Unless I accidentally typed it in. Yeah, no, it did it itself. So 36 minutes. Let's do flight level 190. Zero fuel weights, 128.7. So we're picking up some folks. Cool, we'll go with that. Alright, 18,000 feet. The altimeter is 3004. 3004 is set. Don't forget, you gotta always do your standby. And I'll forget it on the way up. Alright, so now that we're through transition altitude, we'll go through approach checklist. Approach checklist. Briefing is complete. Approach stable by. So we want 1,000 feet plus the touchdown zone elevation, which is 189. So it would be 1,189 feet. But generally, as long as you're stable by 1,000 feet, you're good. ECAM status. Is checked. Seatbelt signs are on. Minimums 200 feet. Set. Engine anti-ice 1 and 2 are off. And altimeters 3004 set. Approach checklist complete. I don't know how everybody else does their descents with no VNAV, but typically based off of my altitude is when I'll determine when to come down. I'm at 36, 38,000 feet. I'll start down about 120 miles out. Descent rate about 1,800 feet per minute, and then I'll just kind of keep eyeballing it as the mileage goes by. So we got 57 miles. We're at 15,000 feet. I think we're looking pretty good. We need to be at 2,300 feet at Zadgi. Got a haircut at 1 o'clock, so it's gonna be real tight trying to squeeze in all 3 flights. Might just be able to do 2. Got about an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes, and there goes the winds again. Those winds. Moving around. 30 miles to go until Zaji. Let's see. Steepen that descent rate a little bit. It'll be hard to meet that 250 knot restriction. As irritating as it is to have all the bugs and the issues that we've been having after this new update, still worth it. As irritated as a lot of people get, 10,000. As irritated as a lot of people get, you know that Microsoft's going to fix it. You gotta be patient. The frame rates that we're getting, it's hard to complain. So typically, at least based off of my airline's SOP, you leave the runway turn-off lights and the nose light off until clear to land, then you turn them on. So that's what we're going to do now. I hate how the nose light is bound to the landing lights. I wish it was its own separate switch, but it's a 2 or a 3-point switch, so it would be pretty hard to do on using a button on the keyboard like I do. So we're 15 miles. We got about another 4,000 feet to descend until we're at the altitude we need to be at. We have 2,340 pounds of fuel on board. My dog is hacking. Go ahead and slow her down a little bit. Why does it have Wilmington? That might be the same frequency as, yeah, that's why. So we're 19.5 miles from the field.
2,500.
Alt star. Lodestar. 18 miles. DME. Loc. I don't know what. I just added that big old ring. I see what I did. I put in. They switched back to what we were on. But we're tracking the localizer, so we're not worried about that. $12 miles. Slow her down to 190. And we're below flap 1 speed, so we'll go speed checks, flaps 1. Glide slope's alive. $10 miles, we'll slow her down to 170. And this is nothing procedural, this is just what I like to do. Usually works pretty well. We're below flap 2, so we'll go speed checks, flaps 2. And we'll hold this until we start coming down. We'll maintain 170 till 7. And then we'll configure. Glide slope star. Coming down. Glide slope. Missed approach altitude is set. Almost screwed up. 7 miles. We'll go manage speed. Gear down. Arm spoilers. Flaps 3. Speed checks. Flaps 3. Alright. Glide slope, localizer, Cat 3 dual, autopilot 1 and 2. Looking good. Dang the flight attendants, cleared to land.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
Got V1 over there. Telling them flight attendants, keeping them in line. And here comes 1,000.
1,000.
Stable. That's my aeroplane. I don't know about in the real world, but in the sim now I can see why there's a displaced threshold. There's trees all up in the way.
500. 400. 100 above. Minimum.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
Spoilers, reverse green, decel. Whoa. That was weird. It's got like I got a little burst of like a wind gust and lifted the nose off. So we're turning off a little bit later than we wanted to. That's okay. We are alive. I don't know about this localizer showing that we're off centered. We're pretty much on the center line. Alright, so we'll start the timer. Let the engines restabilize after coming out of reverse. You're actually supposed to do that right as you come out of reverse, but better late than never. Also just realized we didn't do the landing checklist, which is pretty important. Alright, let's clean her up. Alright, after landing checklist, exterior lights are set, flaps retracted, TCAS, transponder standby, engine mode selector is normal, ground spoilers are disarmed, radar and previous wind shear is off after landing checklist. Alright, like we talked about, we'll come into here. Got, kill that, and we'll start the APU. Alright guys, welcome to Fayetteville, North Carolina. Met a few people from this area. And they all talk like this. Which I'm not discriminating, because I myself have a relatively thick accent compared to most. Alright, so this is going to be a quick turn. It's like we're picking up some folks. So we'll park as such. Alright. Call that good. We will kill the engines. Got our message. Alright, so that's a wrap on the first leg. Our next leg is going to be from Fayetteville over to Greensboro, which should be a pretty quick hop, 36 minutes. So I'm going to finish getting everything else set up for that, and we'll come right back in just a couple. Alright, and we are back here for leg number 2 from Fayetteville, North Carolina, or as I say Fayetteville, as probably the locals of Fayetteville say Fayetteville, something like that. Anyways, from Fayetteville over to Greensville, Spartan Airport, Spartanburg, I lose my train of thought. Anyways, so let's get the aircraft set up pretty quick. Got roughly an hour till I gotta leave. Let's go get my hair cut. See, I think it's gonna be the last leg. Probably stream the third leg once I get back. We'll do that. Put that in there. Before we do that, let's head over and load up the aircraft. Cool. So that's done. I've got a flight plan departing off of runway 22. Insert Greensville ILS 22. Insert secondary, can't do anything with. RadNav, we'll put in Fayetteville for now. Go to the init B. Our fuel on board is supposed to be, looking at my SimBrief OFP, release ID number 1, says we should have 10.6 on board, and that's looks like what we got. 10 point, yeah, rounded up, 10.6. Cool. Performance, we're a bit heavier on this one, shorter runway, so we're gonna go flaps to flex. Let's call it 57. Should work. Transition altitude 18,000 feet, and we got our V speeds 125, 126, 130. Alright, everything else is already up and running. I did set the weather. I changed the weather to a few, because that's the closest that the weather was to live. So we shouldn't have any of the winds issue with the speed fluctuating the way that it was, and hopefully land closer to our planned landing fuel than whatever we were at, 2 point whatnot. Let's see. I wonder if it still has our times from the previous leg. Probably not, since we already initialized. Yeah, it cleared them out. Alright. Overhead looks good. Flight director's constraints. Flight director constraints. All that looks good. Well, just like the last leg, we're going to depart on runway heading, which is going to be 218. You can just pull this when you get close to the runway. You don't have to scroll as much, but got it set now. Looks good. We do have a route in there. Alright, I think we're ready to go for leg number 2. So we'll restart the timer. And start engine number 1. While that's starting, let's take a quick look at Fayetteville Airport. There we are. So not as much detail in this one, as far as like the internal parts of the terminal. It's not modeled. Also, there's no jet bridges on this one, but that is probably a real, if I had to guess, it's probably a real life thing. This is probably the type of airport that you got nothing but CRJs coming in, maybe some Embraer 170s, 75s. I'm not exactly sure what all flights they have coming into here, For sure CRJs. And probably just load them on the ramp and then push out. But just like all the other ones, awesome texturing on the ground. I love the ground markings, the oil. It looks great. This would be a fun airport to bring the CRJ in. I was actually trying to fly that airplane into here yesterday. I can't remember what issues I was having, or maybe it was crashing desktop. Who knows? Couldn't make it in. It was one of like 3 flights where I tried to come here. But definitely have to fly an airline flight into here and park at the gates and do that. Alright, let's jump back to the airplane. Forgot to turn on the fuel pumps. That's what happens when you get to moving fast and you don't run checklists. You miss a lot of stuff. There we go. Oh, that's nice. Nice little custom fire truck. City of Fayetteville. I like that. Verticalsim does some good work, there's no doubt about that. Alright, back up to the airplane now, and we'll start number 2. Well, I was going to do the third leg whenever I got back from my haircut, but it sounds like the girlfriend's going to be home then, and any of y'all that got one of them knows that they typically don't like you on your computer and ignoring them when they're home. So you may not be able to do that third leg today. You might have to do it on another day. Maybe different aircraft too. Maybe we'll try the working title citation. Good starts. Now we do the after start flow. Same thing as last time, short taxing, kill the APU. Alright, after start checklist, even though we didn't do the first one. After start, engine anti-ice off, yellow electric pump off, rudder trim 0. After start checklist complete. Let's rock and roll. Brake check, pressure's green. And this time we're taking off the opposite direction than what we landed. Alright, flight controls, check. Full left. Full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral. Flight controls check complete before takeoff load. That's right. Thank you, Airbus. Flaps 2 for takeoff. There we go.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Alright. Before takeoff, checklist to the line. Gross weight comparisons complete. Pitch trim 30%. CG set V1, VR, V2, flex 121. Correction 125, 126, 130. Flex 57. Flaps config 2. Flight instruments checked. Flight controls checked. ECAM memo takeoff all green. ECAM status is checked. Predicted wind shear is on auto. TCAS code set TAR. Cabin crews advised. Before takeoff, checklist to the line is complete. So real world, you would give 3 minutes for your engines to warm up. Actually started the timer late, so we've probably at our 3 minutes now. So we'll pretend, instead of 2 minutes, we'll pretend it's been 3 minutes. So we'll stop that, reset. Alright, before takeoff checklist below the line, takeoff runway 22 is confirmed. Fuel. Brief where you at. Fuel 9.2 is required. We've got 10.4 on board. Engine mode selector is normal. Bleeds packs are set. Before takeoff checklist is complete. We are ready to go. And again, we are departing on heading of 218, and then we'll proceed on course once we're all cleaned up and looking good. Manflex SRS auto thrust blue. knots thrust set. Hand off the throttle and rotate. Pause brake. You're up. Base. Alright, there's acceleration altitude. Thrust climb. Accelerate. Alt star. Speed, flaps 1, speed checks, flaps 1. And speed checks, flaps up. Alright, now we'll go back to direct ahoy. Nav. In real airplane, you wouldn't have to do that. You wouldn't have to tell the airplane to go in the nav mode. It would automatically switch. And it does to an extent. It'll nav you to that fix, but after that, it's like it puts you back into a heading mode. So if any of y'all ever flying the Airbus A32NX or whatever, you'll notice that. When you get close to a fix, do direct to it, and it'll give you a solid line, which represents nav to that fix, and then after that fix it gives you a dash line, which is not nav mode. Man, I cannot wait until the new LNAV. Alright, so we'll climb. We'll go up to, say, we got cleared up to flight level 190. climb, thrust, climb, up and climb. Hopefully I have a better luck on this one, on this flight than the last one with the preset weather. After takeoff checklist, landing gears up, flaps retracted, bleeds pack set, APU is off. After takeoff checklist is what you'd want to do as soon as you go flaps up. Based off my company's SOP, the pilot monitoring would do that silently. So if I ever miss it, I'll just blame it on that I was doing it silently. So terrain's no factor. Switch back over to weather radar. Now we are north of 10,000 feet. Lower the nose, let the airplane accelerate. Kill the landing lights. They were in the on position. I hit my little button. Turn them off and we'll ding the flight attendants. Since we had smooth rides on the inbound leg, anticipating smooth rides, it's a short hop, so we'll go ahead and lower that. Our cruise altitude is 19,000 feet. And as you can see, if we expand the range, it's a very short hop. We only have 146 miles left on this trip, on this leg. Should be quick. Another airport down there. A couple of them actually. Help if I would actually fly the airplane and not look around. Alright, autopilot 1. Also, I do believe in the real world, based off of who is flying is which autopilot channel they would use. So, if the captain's flying, autopilot 1 would be used. If the FO is flying, autopilot 2 would be used. Pretty sure. So now we'll plug in the Spartanville, or Spartanburg, I mean. Goodness, I'm getting both those cities mixed up. Spartanburg. And now we can track that. There's transition altitude. Standard. speed, alt star. We are at cruise. Now I'm not as good at figuring out when to descend when we're this low. Like I said in the last one, typically I'm used to being at 38,000 feet. I'm descending at 120 miles out. At 19,000 feet, obviously you would start when you're closer. So I don't know, probably start at 60 miles, something like that. Now that we're at cruise, we can brief our arrival into Greensboro. Alright, so we are planning to land on the ILS runway 22. Frequency is 110.7. Final approach course is 218 degrees. Final approach fix is Lyman at 2,300 feet. Our touchdown zone elevation, or correction, our decision height is 200 feet off the ground. This will be a precision approach, so we're going with decision height instead of decision altitude. There's a difference between MSL and AGL. Touchdown zone elevation is 964 feet. If we go missed, we'll climb to 2,000, and if climbing, left turn to 3,000, direct to the Spartanburg, VOR, and hold. That you can do. Let's see. Final, our glide slope is a standard 3-degree glide slope. Final, with our, I'm just like running my mouth and can't even get the words out right. Approach lights with Pappy on the right, and again we'll climb to 2,000, and climbing left turn to 3,000 direct to the Spartanburg VOR, which we just hard tuned. When we land, we've got 11,001 foot, what should be dry runway, probably grooved. Have to check. And let's see, where will we be parking? Definitely not going to Concourse because we're GA today. So I guess we'll come over here, probably MRO ramp, whatever that is. So we'll plan to exit on probably Delta. Delta, then Lima 4 to the ramp. Terrain will be no factor. Weather's no factor based off the forecast. Should be good. It's already asking us to put in our destination info, so we'll get on top of that. And watch. Weather's supposed to be no factor, but there'll probably be a thunderstorm over the field. Actually, we're not even running live weather, so wouldn't matter. So for anybody who wasn't watching on the last leg, on the way up to Fayetteville, the live weather was not, it was intermittently injecting winds, which was throwing off the speed and our fuel consumption and all that good stuff. So for this leg, I changed it to just scattered clouds, and that's why we're not running live weather. So based off of this, winds 240 at 3, 10 statute miles, clear skies, temperature's 31, dew point 21, altimeter is 3009. So we'll just plug that in as if that's what it is, because I don't know what the preset went to, but it's not drastically different enough that it should affect us too much. Transition altitude is 18,000 feet, winds 240, 3 knots, temperature 31, altimeter 3009. ILS, 200 foot ceilings is the minimum. Since it's an ILS, we'll push our push buttons. We're looking good. Only thing that's kind of weird to me though is we have an 8-knot crosswind, but yet we're flying like sideways. I don't think 8 knots is gonna make us fly sideways, so looks like there may be further issues with the weather after this new update. "99 miles to go. We'll start our descent." Shoot, I don't even know. Let's try this little calculator. Let's see. We need to be Lyman at 2,300 feet. That's the next one after Ahoy. It didn't put in Racy. It may be a transition on the approach. I don't know. Anyways, Lyman 2,300. So we'll plan on that. It says 52, so I was close. 60 miles will work. Altitude touchdown zone elevation is 964. My heading is 218. Just dry. Don't know what the slope is. Landing distance available should be 11,001 feet. Approach speed. We'll just call it 145. Wheel flaps full on this one. Reverse thrust, yes. Okay. This doesn't help me out because I don't know meters, I know feet. So this was a waste of time. For me. Other folks in other parts of the world, not so much. Oh. So I think it may actually be, if I can get my buttons right, I think the LNAV is off. I think that's what's actually going on. It's not the crosswind. So let's do direct Lyman. See what that gives us. That gets us back on course. Probably should have recycled the ADIRs. Alright, let's see. Let's see what we got. Somebody in the chat. For some reason it's not showing me the chat on the YouTube. Fortunately I've got it pulled up on my phone. So have any ideas why I cannot engage managed mode in the heading and speed? So for the aircraft to give you any kind of managed mode, you do have to have everything set up in the McDo as far as your zero fuel weight goes, so the aircraft knows how much you weigh. That way it can figure that out. So why I cannot engage managed mode in the heading and speed? Honestly, I'm not sure. I think I'd have to see what your sim is doing to be able to figure it out. Let me think on this a little bit more, and maybe something will come into my head. Manage mode and the heading and speed. But some would have to not be set up correctly in the McDo. Anytime you can't get something managed. Well, also, this just clicked in my head. So you got to make sure that you have your flight directors on. If you don't have flight directors on, you won't be able to do anything managed. So make sure your flight directors are on. Make sure you got 0 fuel weight entered in. This airplane's not capable of discontinuity, so you don't have to worry about that. So I hope that helps. Try next time you fly, try that. Try to make sure that your flight directors are engaged. Got 0 fuel weight in there. And it should be good. I can't think of anything else that would disrupt managed mode. Probably should have my camera on. You can see me thinking real hard. Alright, 105 miles out. We're going to start down at 60 miles out. We got a nice long dry runway, so we're going to keep the auto brakes off on this one. And believe it or not, pilots don't always use auto brakes. I'm surprised that we've made it this far in the stream. I don't know how long we've been streaming now, but started around, yeah, we've been streaming for quite a while. 2 hours, 22 minutes. I'm surprised that we haven't had a crash to desktop yet. As unstable as this new update's been, didn't think it was going to actually make it this far. Now I've jinxed myself. Now I'm just we're gonna probably crash in the next 5 minutes. Hit the wrong button, and it's gonna cut off. Keep getting these sound stutters too. I'm sure the longer that we fly, the higher the probability of something messing up is, obviously. So something else I just noticed, says the total distance that we have left on our flight plan is 105 miles, but we're definitely much closer than that. So very steep descent. Awesome. So let's go to prog page and see. Landing on 22. 30 miles, so we're only starting down twice as late as we were supposed to. So again, 30 miles in a straight line to the touchdown zone, but yet it says we have 105 miles. So that's great. Alrighty. Altimeter setting is 3009. Hopefully we can go down fast enough. Otherwise, we'll just fly over the airport and swing it back around. So approach checklist. Briefing is complete. Approach stable by 1,964 feet. That's MSL, so it's 1,000 from the ground. ECAM status is checked. Seat belts on. Minimum's 200 feet set. Engine anti-ice 1 and 2 is off. Altimeter's 3009 set. Approach checklist is complete. And just based off of how much the sound of the sim is breaking up every time I change a view or something, makes me a little afraid that it's going to crash soon. So may not change the views around too much. Or at least I don't know. Maybe it's just on my end, but I can hear like little bits of like sounds breaking up in my headset. So the next big struggle is going to be slowing down for the speed restriction. We're going to level off, and that's going to hurt us. Get off this page because that ain't showing nothing. 15 miles, yeah. We're definitely going to fly a loop. Alright, so let's go to heading mode. Let's spiral down so we can bleed off some altitude. Get 10,000, we'll level off, bleed off the rest of our speed, and and then keep it coming down. And since we're so close to the airport, we want to get slow so that we're not trying to slow down again for the approach. Alright, so there, now we're below 250. Keep it coming down again. And we'll keep that turn coming. Trying to keep a good descent, maintain our speed while coming down as fast as we can. Man, got some weird issues with this airplane and the simulator itself today. Not that it's surprising after the update. I'm sure they'll have a hotfix issued pretty soon. I hope. If you go to the forums and you check out, like you go to the bugs page or whatever, there are lots and lots and lots and lots of crash to desktops, which I'm sure everybody's had some of those lately. So 2,300 feet is what we need to cross. Whatever that fix was. Lyman? Yeah. Look, it still says I got 105 miles. Psych. Since we are already in selected speed, we'll activate the approach phase. Go direct alignment again. We're 15 miles from Lyman. Now we can kind of shallow out a little bit. Shouldn't take 15 miles to get down 1,300 feet.
$2,500.
We're directly over this Spartanburg VOR right now. I only know that because of looking at my charts. Nobody told me that I had the wrong identifier in. Why is it putting... Oh, there we go. Knew something wasn't right when I wasn't seeing the... on there. I don't know if y'all saw that either, but when I put in direct alignment, it had the solid green line to alignment, and then it had a dashed line. So from alignment, we're going to be... We're going to be real close. So we're going to slow down even more. We'll go flaps 1. Don't think this one has a DME. Alright, let's go down to 170. They're looking at about a 5-mile difference between Lyman and the airport. And instead of, well, I was going to say instead of capturing the ILS, maybe just hand flat. But it would get real busy just being single pilot. And I've had my buddy Rio that I do share cockpit with, and I could do it because I can have him do the flaps and all the other stuff, checklist, all that. Alright, so we're our flaps 2. Gear's not down yet. Typically don't want to fly straight and level with your gear down. At least that's what I've heard some of my pilots say. So a good start to putting you in a bad spot. Let's get rid of my face. So we'll stay, keep the gear up until we capture the glide slope. I'm going to try to do the checklist. I don't think the autopilot is good enough yet. Like typically the airplane will kind of bob and weave as it tries to really establish the localizer sometimes. So I may end up having to just like hand fly the entire approach. So I don't know if I can rely on the autopilot. Alright, glide slope's coming down. Yeah, we're going to have to hand fly this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and go managed. Just adjust as... Oh, this is shallow. We got it though. Alright, there's localizer. Go flaps 3, help out with that low speed. And glide slopes. Gears coming down. On the spoilers. Flaps full. I'm not going to worry about dinging the flight attendants. I don't care about that while I'm hand flying. Alright, landing checklist. Cabin crews advised. Sort of. I didn't push the button. Auto thrust speed. Auto brakes. None. ECMMO landing all green gear down. Signs on auto. Ground spoilers on. Flaps config full. Alright, let's focus on flying. Supposed to be stable by 1,000. I don't think we were. A little bit of a quartering headwind. We're right on the ILS, but yeah, we got 3 white, 1 red, so I don't know how accurate.
400.
One of the two is off, either the ILS or the PAPI's off.
100 above. Minimum. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
Spoilers, reverse green. No decel because we're not using auto brakes. Welcome to Greensboro Spartanburg Airport. Try to do a rollout cleanup. Always get the good main stuff. Kill some lights. This thing is, how is it? I don't know how I didn't just get a crashed desktop. It was struggling real bad. Whoop, whoop. Go single engine taxi in, so yellow electric pump on. Oh my god. Yeah, I think the sim is struggling a bit. As you can see, engine number 2 is off. Oh, I don't know if y'all can hear that, but man, it's like the sound is just tearing up. I'll stop switching camera views. Got this itty bitty taxiway into here. This is definitely for small airplanes, but we got it. We're gonna do it. I got no choice. I gotta leave the house here in about 5 minutes. Get my hair cut. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I think this will work. Set parking brake. Stupid message. Alright, I think that'll do it for today. Let's make a quick look at Sim's super hardcore struggling right now. Oh yeah, got this nice custom jet bridges. I don't know why I care so much about jet bridges, but I mean when you're running airline ops and you're parked at the gate, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that you see. It's right next to the airplane. I wonder if something that developers can do next is make like custom people. Be pretty neat. Curious to see if ooh, are those trees? Yikes. We'll cut that out. I'm curious to see how FS Dream Team does with their GSX. I think GSX is planned. I'm not sure. But anyways, everybody, thank you for watching. Those who came to watch, those who will watch in the future. Again, we're going to try to do the third leg of this planned trip, which will be Greensville over to Norfolk, Virginia. That'll be the next one. But until that time comes around, thank you again. Don't forget to like, subscribe. If you think my content's good enough, please do it. If not, then hope I can earn it in a future video. And everybody, have a great day.